Hello, hello. Hi, everyone.
Hey,
This is Dave and Roxanne.
welcome to another episode of
It's
It's
a
a
new
New
day.
Day,
It's
It's
a
a
new
New You.
you.
If this is the first time you're tuning to our business page and you're watching live, drop a one. And if you're watching on replay, most of you will probably watch on replay, drop a two. Right? We'd love to connect with you, say hi to you. And as you drop those numbers, also let us know where you're tuning in from because we always like to say hi to you as we look at your messages, right?
Yeah, we love to know how global we are in this community. We like to see which country you're from, where you're tuning in from. We live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Today we want to share with you what we've learned recently.
Yeah, and we have a
Exclusive training.
exclusive training. One of the keynote speakers in our online business convention coming soon did a preview, and the topic was what's the topic?
The topic was 4 steps to achieving unreasonable goals.
And the speaker is Ray Higdon. Some of you
Mhm.
may or may not know him. So I want to ask you if you're watching this live or replay, do you have unreasonable goals, or have you thought of unreasonable goals? And if you have, just comment yes. And it was a very, very powerful kind of training. And we're going to give you some of our notes, some of our insights to it. And a definition, according to Ray, of an unreasonable goal, it's something that you want to achieve, but you don't know how to get there, or you've never been there, right?
Mhm.
That's a definition of unreasonable goal, right?
Yes.
So there, we're going to share with you 4 steps that Ray shared. If if you're part of our business community and you missed that, you missed a lot. You can only get a portion of it through us. If you have access to it, I encourage you to watch it not just once, but watch it over and over and over because I typically watch the training over and over, so I learn from it, right? So
Yeah. Hi, Rena, watching from England. Absolutely have unreasonable goals. Amazing.
I love it.
Uh, Benji and Jenny, good PM from Ontario, California. Awesome, awesome. Or Ontario, Canada.
That's right. And to what unreasonable, it could be any area of your life, right? It could be examples that Ray gave. It could be like you want to fund a cruise for your family. That could be
Mhm.
your unreasonable goal. It could be a health goal.
Yeah, it could be like losing that, 10 to 15 pounds that you've been wanting to get rid of.
Mhm.
Or, maybe spoiling your family to a trip, to a family vacation. Or maybe, you want to give more to your ministry, sponsor young kids to a conference or to, maybe schooling, right? Or maybe you just want to buy your home and you've never owned a home, or, you don't have that savings, or maybe pay off a big amount of debts, but you don't know how to
Yeah,
achieve
and
it.
one of our unreasonable goal when we started our journey was to pay off $86,000 in consumer debt in a short period of time, and that was
Mhm.
kind of thing. And when we reflect now, we kind of used some of this principle, but the trainer rate and just made it clear for us. So, are you ready? If you're ready, here we go. Step number one is uh, know what you want.
Mhm.
And this may sound simple, this might sound elementary, but a lot of people, right, don't know what they want, right?
Mhm.
They just go through life because they just go through life like following everyone else, right? And they don't actually sit down and spend time and know what they want, right? And it's
Mhm.
really important, this step one, right?
Yeah, because a lot of people just focus on what they don't want, right? Focusing on on the things
That's
that
the,
they,
yeah.
yeah, that they don't like. But then the first step is really knowing what you want. Figuring out, like, asking yourself, what do you really want? For, like, for example, for us in our careers, like, because we've learned this lesson, we're able to know what we want in a career, in our health goals, in our business as well.
Yeah, specifically, my course I took was aeronautical engineering, right? And that's an example of not knowing what I want because the reason I took it is because, first of all, I was pressured because I was done high school already.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know what I was going to take. And I flipped the book of this college, and the first thing that came out was aeronautical engineering. I said, that sounds good. I'll do it. right? Without even discerning, without even, knowing what my skill sets is, without even knowing what, what is the goal I want to achieve, right? I didn't really specifically, you know, discern what I want, and I took that on the second or third year in it. I realized that's not what I wanted to do, but I had to finish because I had student loan and stuff like that. So sometimes we just follow the path on what the world or environment is leading us, not really what we want, and that's step number one, and which is really important, right?
Yeah, and that could apply in, in your relationships. I learned this from, also from another mentor of ours, that when you want something, let's say I want, in a specific relationship, I want something, this. So I learned to write what I want, right?
Mm.
To not be afraid to ask, our big God, because sometimes, we're only like accepting what, what is given to us, but really God wants us to ask bigger goals, bigger dreams, because he gave that to us, right? So when I learned that, I can actually write down the things that I want, right? And it's basically prayers, right? When you ask those big dreams, though, I realize that God is not just interested in, in the bigger things, or in, like things that matters, you think that matters, but even the little things, it
Yeah,
matters.
Rena says, oh my God, that cruise with my family, all expenses paid by me. That's one of my unreasonable. Thanks for sharing that, Rena.
Mm,
Uh, Amazing. Write that down. Put it in your vision board. Write it down in one of your a list of what you want.
yeah.
By the way, if you're watching this live or replay, also write down what is your unreasonable goal. We'd love to know.
Hmm.
This is also biblical. Habakkuk 2:2 and 3 says, write the vision and make it plain, right? Write it down and make it so clear. What is it that you want, right? It's not just a career, it's not just business. What is it? Like Rena says, very clear. Fund that family cruise paid off, right? So this is step one, right? If you don't know what you want, right, as Ray says, the work will be painful, right?
Hmm.
It will be easy to quit because you're just working for you don't even know why, right?
Hmm.
Right? It's easy to quit, right? So it's the discipline, the hard work will be painful if you don't know what you want. So that's step number one.
Yeah. Step number two is stop focusing on what's not working.
And as Ray says on the training, this is the hardest, right? This is the hardest step to do because we we live through life focusing on not what we want, not what we want, but what we don't want, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people are too hard on themselves, that, like, or negative, because we're programmed to look at the things that, okay, this is not working, this is bad, this is, we complain a lot, right? Like, oh, but then if you really ask them, okay, this is your complaint, what do you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And really, like, what's not working is, let's say, oh, um because what happened is that if you focus on what's not working, it limits you to the choices, to that's right in front of you, right? You
It
only,
limits you to the choices you see.
yeah.
You have a lot of choices, but because you're focusing on what you don't want, as Ray says, and this is coming from Dr. Joe Dispenza talking about neuroscience, brain. It limits the choices you see. You have a lot
Hmm.
of choices, but because you focus on what you don't want, right? It limits the choices you see, right?
Yeah, now that we're talking, it reminded me of my previous relationship before Dave.
So
and
this is about
and I
romance.
remember, like, I was complaining about my ex, and like it wasn't working. I was crying and all that. And because I was just, like, like, all you can see is that person, and all you can see is a negative, right? But the moment I started to do gratitude, the moment that I started to write down the things that what I want in a relationship, I started to do gratitude. And the more I do that, the more I, for some reason, God has given me, like, circumstances that allow that relationship to stop, right? And I found him.
Mm.
So really, when you, because if you're just focusing on what's not working, your choice, basically, you're close to the, your eyes are closed, you're not open to the blessings, to the choices that, are good for you.
And an example that Ray says, for some people they need something, but because they're so focusing on not what they want. They beat themselves up,
Yeah.
or the problems that's happening, right, in their life. They're supposed to do something. Like, for example, they're supposed to look at this opportunity that's going to change their life, but because they're focusing on, I don't have any money, the
Oh
economy is
yeah.
not doing well, right? They don't take the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
While others
That's
do,
true.
and they change their life, right? So there's a lot of things, right? And for us, the biggest thing, and it's in the new book that came out, which is Never Quit on a Bad Day. When we were in our lowest point, when we got
Oh
evicted,
yeah.
right? When we got the letter of eviction, um, this book, Never Quit on a Bad Day, it's in here. Thankfulness, that our chapter was thankfulness
On tough
in
times.
tough times, right? We wrote down our gratitude. What are the things that we are grateful for, despite of our eviction, and because of that, our choices was still there, and it led us to this online
Yeah.
business because of the gratitude. So number one, the hardest thing to do, right, is to stop focusing on what's not working, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Reagan shared a tip, and this is in the book Think and Grow Rich. This guy he really wanted to analyze what he's thinking. So every time he would think of a negative thought or
Yeah.
something that's not what he wants, he would actually literally take a paper and pen. What do I want? I
Yeah.
want to become, I want to have a good family. He would just write 10 things
Yeah.
to interrupt the thinking pattern, because it's thinking and doing. If you think the same thing over and over, your results will be the same, right? What you need to do is to interrupt that thinking every time that happens, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's number two. And he would say this is the hardest. And Jim Rohn says this: the hardest work is not the work you put in your business. The harder work is the work on you,
Yeah.
because we are literally programmed, right? That's why we're getting the same results over and over and over, because we don't interrupt that, right? This is number two. I think for me is very. This is the thing that really helped us go to the next level, because we started to monitor what we're thinking, and we started to work on that, right?
Yeah. Um. Hi, RJ and Juby, watching and being inspired from Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah.
Awesome. If you focus negativity, you attract negativity as well. Yes. If you focus on positivity, blessings, and gratitude, you will attract the same. Rena, Joyce Mayer, yeah, I follow her as well. When you complain, you
Yeah.
remain. When you praise, you progress.
Yeah.
That's true.
Especially on the toughest times, right? It's easy to kind of say this quotes, but when it happens to in your life,
Yeah.
right? You've got to watch yourself, because that is what's keeping you where you are, right? You will
Mm-hmm.
definitely remain in that same situation over and over. So that's thanks for sharing that, Rena. That's great insight. Um,
So
number
the
Yeah,
number three is do the work, right? Of course,
you've got to do the work.
you've got to do the work. If you have unreasonable, goals and you want to achieve that, once you do, all those three, your two things, know what you want, stop focusing on what's not working. The number three is do the work,
You've got
right?
to do the work.
You've got to do the work because especially in our, where we live today, most of us are in, comfortable uh side of our life. Like it's comfort, right? Like we got our basic needs met. But if you have that goal, can you do the work, even if, if the temptation is there to watch TV, to go outside, travel, or like not doing the work to achieve that dreams.
Yeah, so you got to ask yourself, you have to reverse engineer. This is my goal. What work do I need to do to make this inevitable?
Yeah.
That to make this, like if you say, if I put in this work, there's got to be no way that this won't happen,
Yeah.
because this is, not only did I put the work, I put the work above and beyond,
Yeah.
right? Above and beyond, right? An example of Ray Higdon was that, he was dead broke. He was in the verge of foreclosure, and he started a direct sales company, right? And he read a book called Go for
Oh
No,
yeah.
right? And Go for No is instead of going for yes, go for no. So he went for an unreasonable, crazy 20 no's a day
Oh
for
yeah.
6 months. He came from broke, dead broke, foreclosure, and he put in the discipline, right? And not so the first unreasonable thing that he did, the work that he did was 20 no's a day,
Yeah.
right?
And
A,
do
a
videos,
video a day
one video a day for like many years,
for
right?
many
Yeah.
years. There's also one thing he did, another thing he did.
I think
Personal
a
development,
personal, yeah, that
work on
third one,
himself,
yeah,
work on himself. And
every
he
day,
went
yeah.
from on the verge of foreclosure, and in 6 months, the top earner and $1 million earner in his company, right? What is the work that you need to do, right?
Hmm. I
Because
like that. Unreasonable. What are the unreasonable activities?
yeah,
The work that you need to do. What are you willing to sacrifice to achieve that
that
unreasonable
if you
goals?
do
Right.
this, right, it will guarantee your success. Right? What
Hmm.
are those things, right?
Yeah.
Ask yourself, right? So this is how to achieve unreasonable. And so, but they said this is not it, because he's met people through his years of coaching and mentoring, highly successful people, right? Some people do the work. In fact, they do a lot of work, but they're still not achieving it. In
Yeah.
fact, they're frustrated because they're missing this number four, or the 1 2, right?
Yeah.
Missing some steps, right? The fourth step is this: mental rehearsal, right? Mental rehearsal. This is key. And I think this is the life changer for me too.
Oh yeah.
He said every successful athlete, every successful person he's met, right? They've mentally rehearsed what that looks like when they got there. They've been there in their mind
Already, yeah.
1,000 times, right? Many, many times. And just to be frank with you, you know, that's also what we've changed, that we've mentally rehearsed what it looks like for us to get to that level that we wanted, right?
Yeah, I think before you reach a certain goal, right, you have to be able to imagine yourself, visualize yourself being there already. How does it feel when,
Yeah.
let's say, Rena mentioned, you treated your family to a cruise. How does it feel? Like, what did your family tell you? Like, did they say thank you? I really appreciate this. It's a surprise. How does your family like react, right, on surprising these people, right? Like for us, I already, like, actually that's why I like what you said, because on the upcoming cruise that we're going with our family, I treated my a few of our families. So it's our dream that achieved already. But before that, like, even speaking on stage and all those, we already thought about it before it happened, even if our results are not there. I remember in 2018, when we were in our lowest point of our life, we were, evicted from our apartment. We shared this before. And also, being in so much debt. But at the time, we already proclaim it. We already visualize ourselves, paying that off. How does it feel when there's no more debts? How does it feel to own our home and pay that off? How does it feel to have that our baby with us, because we've been waiting for our son for 12 years, right? How does it feel? That's the mental rehearsal. I think that's one of the most, I think, the most important thing that we did
Because
differently,
it's
right?
hard and nobody teaches you how to do it,
Yeah.
right? And which is really important. So those are the four steps. We vowed to do this in 10 minutes. We broke that again, but I hope you still gotten value from it. All right, so the four steps, again: know what you want,
Yeah.
stop focusing on what's not working, do the work, and mental rehearsal.
Yeah.
He said that, if you do these four steps, right, really work hard on these four steps, there's no reason why you cannot achieve any
Mhm.
of your unreasonable goals,
Yeah.
right? So I hope we gave you value, and we always end with a verse. This is a very famous verse. It's fitting for this.
From Philippians 4, verse 13, it says, I can do all things through Christ who
It
strengthens me.
doesn't say some things, it says all things,
Yeah.
including your unreasonable goals,
Mhm.
right? So I hope that inspired you. I hope that gave you some steps. If you got value from this, share it to anybody that you think that will be inspired or need this and need to hear this. So,
Yeah.
thank you for watching. That is another episode of It's
It's
a
a
New
new day.
Day.
It's
It's
a
a
new
new you.
you.
God
God
bless
bless
everybody.
you. Bye. Have a great weekend.